4 people sit down for a game of Commander. How can all of them walk away with a win? I'm Cameron, and we're talking about mid-game victories today on the Lab Maniacs. You go to a GP, and at the end of day 1, you're 2-6. How does that feel? Not great. You're out of the event. Day 2 might be draft, maybe some Commander. But if you look at Commander, 2-6, you're actually doing pretty good. Most tournament Magic is 1v1, so you got a 50% win rate. For every 1 win, you expect to see 1 loss. But for Commander, it's mostly 4-player and free-for-all. That puts you at a 25% win rate. For every 1 win, you expect to see 3 losses. That's 3 times the number of losses for every win. What does that really mean, though? Well, let's expand this out. Say you go to your local game store for Commander night. You get in 3 games a night. You do that for a year. 52 weeks, 3 games a night, 156 games. I did some number crunching, link in the description down below. Over that year, there's gonna be several nights where you don't win a single game. That's just expected. And over 156 games with a 25% win rate, you got a really high chance of having a streak of 12 losses in a row. So for an entire month, you lose every game of Commander that you play, and that's just expected. What does that tell us? Well, 25% in general, no 2 Commander decks are the same, no 2 Commanders are the same, and whoever goes first has a massive turn order advantage, so 25%, maybe give or take. But it also tells us that the win at the end isn't really attainable. It's not something we can regularly get. So maybe we shouldn't be focusing on that. I don't. Well, I looked at my Johnny, Timmy, and Spike and found what a victory was for me. Now, this might be a different way of building your deck. So why don't we look at the player archetypes and see if they can give us some insight into the motivations for ourselves as players. For you, Timmy and Tammys, you guys really love an adrenaline rush in Magic. You like casting an eerie ultimatum and bringing back 10 planeswalkers in a doubling season and getting multiple ultimates all at the same turn. You like casting a Crater Hoof and giving your board +20/+20 and overrunning the entire table. You're really shooting for the moon in every game and really trying to get there. For you Spikes, you're looking to compete and prove that you're the best, whether it's by meta calls, which cards to include for the next tournament, or by piloting skills, or maybe even coming up with the next big deck. You want to prove that you're the best. For you Johnnies and Jennies, you like a unique experience in Magic. You like to express yourself in how you play and in your decks. You also like to find value where other people don't. You like to prove conventional wisdom wrong and say, this card that all you guys just left in the dust is the most important thing in this game now. Now, how can we turn those motivations into winning while playing? We build a deck specifically for those. We build a deck to make that perfect board state, to achieve that specific goal in every game, where we adjust our decks every single time we play, and we reflect on how the games went and how we wanted them to go and how the table experienced the game. Hard. So let me walk you through how I've done it. For my inner Timmy, I have an Is It Planeswalkers deck. It's headed by Will and Rowan Kenrith, and man is it an adrenaline rush to play. It plays not like a lot of Is It decks. It doesn't sit back and hold up interaction. No, it's shooting for the moon and trying to get multiple emblems on a single turn. Probably my biggest Timmy victory was a game at Command Fest Seattle with Joey Schultz from EDH Recast. I had like 4 or 5 planeswalkers in play, and I cast a Teferi Temporal Archmage. and I was able to pile on a bunch of loyalty counters on him and get his emblem the same turn I cast him. I could use Planeswalker abilities on every player's turn at instant speed. Now, I used up most of my resources just to get that emblem, but I had a bunch of walkers. I was pretty sure I could use them to bide out the time till my next turn and then shoot for the win at the end. Well, I got through 2 players' turns, and then it was Joey's. He looked at my board, saw I only had 1 blocker, and was at about 20 life. He killed my blocker and gave his commander double strike and killed me. But I already got my Timmy victory. The deck did everything it wanted to do. I rushed out and I got a bunch of emblems and I had a blast. And I'm going to remember that game the entire time I have that deck together. I know Joey remembers it. For my inner spike, I brewed a Tasker control deck for competitive EDH, specifically to try to come up with a different way to play. And after every game, I look through all of my decisions and all the cards I played to see if I piloted correctly or if that card really deserves to be in the deck. My spike victories happen in almost every game. I look back at all of my piloting decisions and really analyze what went wrong or what went right. Turn 4, I really needed black mana, but turn 2, I fetched for a tropical island. Could I have gotten an underground sea or a bayou? Maybe. Or my meta changes. I removed that piece of spot removal and added in another board wipe. And hey, that got me back into the game. Do I need to do it another time? Every time one of those learnings or meta changes affects a game, I rack another spike victory. For my inner Johnny, I've got an 8.5 tails deck. It's mono white. Everything points to that having no card draw, terrible at ramp, always behind on board. 8.5 tails is my favorite deck. Built it in 2008, and it's grown with me as a player. It started as tokens and anthems, and now it still has tokens and still has a few anthems, but it's really a board control deck. It finds ways to get card advantage by trading a board wipe for 2 cards from every other player. 6 for 1 the table. That's card advantage. My Johnny victory is every time I prove that white can play commander and play it really well. Every time somebody says, how does the white player have more cards in hand than everybody else? How do you have more lands in play than everybody else? Those are my Johnny wins. What about yours? Now, my decks sometimes win at the end, but those aren't the real victories for me. I've already got my victory along the way, and those victories are what all my stories are about, not the win at the end. Now, one thing I do want to caution you about. As you come up with a plan, sometimes the execution doesn't quite get there. Let me give you my example. When Bludgeon Brawl came out, I and a lot of you guys saw potentials for amazing flavor shenanigans. I had a From the Vaults Nicol Bolas and a foil Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Why not have Nicol Bolas pick up Nicol Bolas and beat somebody over the head with a giant discard stick? Sounds pretty fun to actually do, and amazing from a fantasy perspective. So I went about it. I needed a Mycosynth Lattice to kind of make Bludgeon Brawl work, so I made Grixis Artifacts. And I pulled it off. I pulled off the most amazing beatdown. But it wasn't really fun after that. See, Grixis Artifacts being Grixis Artifacts, they just kind of comboed and locked the table down, didn't end the game. And Nicol Bolas made people discard their hands, so they weren't really doing anything. It's just another 5 swings with Nicol Bolas for the game to end. It was hilarious to actually see happen, but wasn't really worth what it took to get there. The plan was kind of a once and done type thing. Maybe I could do it with Marisi. Have Kemba pick up all the mountains and forests on her shoulders and shake out some cats every turn. I could also throw in Gideon, and Gideon could pick up a pair of Gideons and whirlwind around the table. That also could fit in a Volshock Battlemaster. Could have him enter play and, really swing with everything. Maybe that'll be a story for next time. But as you can see, building for mid-game victories gives you an attainable goal for every single game of Commander. Once you've gotten there, your deck's already won for you, and you get to sit back, relax, and shoot for that win at the end. And with that, I'll see you next time on the Lab Maniacs. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around. As you know, I'm Cameron. I've just started doing this as a full-time job, and I really appreciate you watching this video. If you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel as I continue putting out more content. Also, if you want to support me, there's Patreon. You can join on there and directly support me. Otherwise, just watch here. Also, I am starting streaming on Twitch every other Thursday, and you can join in on chat. See you then. Thanks again. Goodbye.